I never would have thought that I would see a cow eating dragon fruit, but I've seen it.
In the last year, we've fed approximately 50,000 tons of French fries, which is a number that kind of blows my mind.
It's perfectly edible food that for one reason or another, consumers don't like the look of it.
Today, there is no limit to our food options. We can get it fresh, frozen, drive-through, delivered right to our door, diet-specific, and from every cuisine around the globe. Food has the capacity to sustain lives and lift nations out of poverty. It can heal the sick, add joy to our days, and build memories, connections, and traditions. So why are we letting so much of it go to waste? In Canada, 58% of the food we produce is lost or wasted every single year, with the majority of our food waste ending up in a landfill, along with all the resources it took to produce it. When that food rots in a landfill, it produces as much as 20% of Canada's methane emissions. Our global population will grow to 9 billion people over the next 50 years, and we'll need to feed that population using the same or fewer resources than before. So how do we, as individuals, play a role in creating food security and sustainability for ourselves and for future generations? Dr. Robin White, an assistant professor of animal and poultry sciences, has published research on the role of ruminant animals in North America's food systems.
Our current agricultural system fails to meet the needs of our current population on a global scale. We have documented challenges of hunger both in developed and developing countries. This challenge of food distribution and food equity, those are major issues, as is this issue of food waste.
The issue of an equitable food system is going to take a global approach, but food waste is something we can all actively change and improve. Let's take a look at where waste happens in our food chain. Food loss occurs before the food reaches the consumer as a result of issues in the production, storage, processing, and distribution phases. Food waste refers to food that is fit for consumption but gets discarded at the retail or consumption phases. In other words, everything we do to reduce food loss and food waste leads to less pressure on the planet, greater economic opportunities, and more food available to everyone.
We're not trying to just do one thing. We're not trying to just meet the energy requirements of the entire global population, or just meet the protein requirements of that population, or just focus on reducing environmental impact, right? We have to simultaneously accomplish all of these objectives. The system within which we grow food is complex, and the human biology, which we are trying to sustain, is equally complex. We need to embrace the complexity, because within that complexity is where there's tremendous opportunity.
It is said that the highest value of food is maintained when it's consumed by humans. So in Canada, we use something called the food recovery hierarchy to help prioritize different actions that organizations can take to prevent food from being wasted. While this often involves working in partnership with local food banks, it can also mean embracing and building on concepts like upcycling, such as using low-valued foods or food processing byproducts to generate new food products like animal feed.
We have a deal with a wholesaler, and this is their produce that, for one reason or another, doesn't make it to the grocery store. We've been getting between 25 and 50 tons a week. There's everything in there. There's peppers, there's fruit and vegetables, and mostly potatoes, probably 80% potatoes, which have been fed to cattle for years. We're doing our little bit to make sure it's not actually wasted.
Like many Canadians, you probably had no idea that farmers and ranchers like Bob upcycle food waste as high-quality feed for cattle.
Historically, feedlots started up because they saw that there was a need to take ingredients that weren't making it into the human food chain and They can be repurposed and fed to cattle, upcycled to make protein.
Ruminant animals can take feed products, which humans either cannot or will not consume, and convert typically, fibrous or high carbohydrate feeds into this really high quality human edible source of protein and micronutrients. That's a really exciting place for ruminant animals in this challenge of feeding the growing global population.
Beer production is an industry that significantly reduces its environmental impact by diverting food loss and waste to livestock. Over 75% of the malt barley grown each year fails to meet the quality criteria for beer making, but can be used for cattle feed. What would otherwise be considered as food loss and sent to a landfill is instead turned into a feed source. On the other end of beer production, the malt barley that does make the cut to be used to make beer isn't used up completely. After beer has been produced, the byproduct from the brewing process is a mash mainly made up of malt barley grain husks and seeds.
The grains that we use are typically malted barley, but we do use a host of other malts and grains. It's going into our system where we get to extract the sugars that we need to feed our yeast for fermentation. Once we're done with that, there's still a lot of feed value left in the grain, but it's not something that we can use, so we take it out and then give it to local farmers.
This mash, called brewer's spent grain, makes up 85% of all waste from beer production. Fortunately for breweries and beef farmers alike, brewer's spent grain is a nutritious feedstuff for cattle. Just one brewery in Alberta estimates they produce around 5,000 kilograms of brewer's spent grain per week that is then fed to local cattle as part of a high-quality diet. This is just one example of many of how cattle take low-quality protein that is inedible to humans and transform it into high-quality protein for human consumption.
In the last 10 years, we've developed relationships with a couple of the French fry plants in the Lethbridge area. Quite often it's potato peelings, it is like a potato mash that comes out of the plant, and often it's just straight French fries or hash browns or something like that. So we feed it in a balanced ration. We work with our nutritionists to make sure that it meets all the standards for high quality feed for animals. The cattle performance is excellent with it, the health is great, and it's a really cost-effective way of feeding our cattle.
For us, a culled carrot is anything that's crooked, deformed, it might have a bug mark. We do donate quite a few to food banks, but they can't use up the volumes that we have. If a crooked carrot is in the bag, the consumer won't buy that bag. They think they will, but when they actually go to pick up a bag off the shelf, anything that has that crooked carrot or something that doesn't look just right, people won't buy it.
When you go down that road of vegetables, crops, and cattle, we have a living example on our farm of exactly that. So we grow sweet corn. The sweet corn goes to the plant, gets processed. We take back the husks and the kernels and the ears that are discarded, and we feed that back to the cattle. The manure comes out of the cattle, goes onto the field, fertilizes it for next year's crop. So the whole system just works really, really well.
It's hard to quantify the total amount of food loss and waste that is diverted from landfills as feed for cattle, but research conducted in the US estimates it at 43 billion kilograms. That's the equivalent of around 195 cargo ships of food loss and waste fed to cattle each year.
It's an improvement in efficiency because we're not wasting those products. We're repurposing them for use in animal diets. That recycling or upcycling utility of ruminant animals is really a global societal good. It's ensuring that we're able to meet the requirements not only of those people around us and in our immediate communities and families, but that we're also making efficient use of crop and animal source foods that are produced worldwide.
While a significant amount of food waste and food loss can be upcycled by cattle, The ingredients and types of foods are regulated and approved by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency to ensure both the health of the animals and food safety. The global community has set its sights on targeted methane reductions in a big way over the next decade, with many countries aiming for a 30% reduction in emissions by the year 2030. Cattle have the potential to divert roughly 860,000 tons of food from landfills in Canada every year, helping to decrease methane emissions. But are we getting ahead by using a methane-producing animal to solve a methane problem? It's critical that we take the time to understand how cattle's relationship to the carbon cycle and the methane cycle works.
In Canada, most of our CO2 emissions, our carbon dioxide emissions, are from the use of fossil fuel. With methane from cows, it's part of a biological cycle.
Methane is a potent but short-lived greenhouse gas. It's emitted from various sources, including fossil fuel extraction, landfills, wetlands, and from ruminant animals, including cattle. Cattle can digest plants like grasses and crop byproducts that humans simply cannot. And as a result of this digestion, cattle emit methane through belches. And this methane is part of a natural cycle called the biogenic carbon cycle. So plants trap carbon dioxide from the atmosphere during photosynthesis. Cattle eat these plants and emit methane into the atmosphere. But after about 12 years, the methane is converted back to carbon dioxide and absorbed by plants, starting the whole cycle over again. This means that if the methane emissions remain constant over time, methane will be destroyed at the same rate that it's produced. And this is actually true for Canada, for biogenic methane, because the number of cattle in Canada have been stable. So in Canada, most of our greenhouse gas emissions are from the use of fossil fuels. When we burn this ancient carbon, it goes into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide, and it stays there for hundreds and even thousands of years. So this is not a cycle, but a one-way street with a long-standing impact on our climate.
It's abundantly clear that food waste in Canada is a significant challenge that will require collaborative problem solving across the entire food chain.
Being a small business owner and part of our community, anytime that we can share what we no longer need with somebody and make it useful so that we don't create waste, we just create more opportunities and better relationships, that's the kind of stuff that gets us really excited here.
With a coordinated and innovative approach, the opportunity to create big impacts in greenhouse gas reduction while tackling hunger in our communities is not outside our reach.
We currently produce enough food to feed a population of 10 billion people if that food was perfectly distributed to those people that need it and those individuals actually consume it. We overproduce food in our developed countries, and as a result, we don't value the necessity of that food the same way that it would be if we didn't produce sufficient quantities. We can look at food waste as a challenge that's potentially insurmountable because it's this really complex socioeconomic manifestation of human behavior. But we can also look at it as a huge opportunity where if we could fix this problem, if we could sort out this challenge, all of a sudden our challenge of feeding the growing global population becomes much more achievable.